And I'm going to say something, and it's the truth, but it's also, I have to give myself grace there. And I'm going to say, measure twice, cut once. That saying of making sure that you have enough due diligence and planning on the beginning. We are so excited to get started. That with as complex as Say Hi is, I kind of wish I took more time in the beginning to really, like I said, measure twice, cut once. But I also wouldn't have changed our journey at all. So it's kind of goes against each other because we needed to build it exactly as we did, but measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, it's tough when you've learned so much from those early mistakes to say that you shouldn't do them again. Because that's really, I mean, I can say that in everything I've started. Yeah, if I had been able to not do that or do this better or do this more or not hired that person, it would have been a smoother process. But I probably would have just made that mistake later in the journey. I don't know. It's a tough one to say. So, but there's a lot of that.
Hey everyone, this is Devin Miller here with another episode of The Inventive Founder. I'm your host, Devin Miller, the serial entrepreneur that's grown several startups into 7- and 8-figure businesses, as well as a founder and CEO of Miller IP Law, where we help startups and small businesses with their patents and trademarks. You ever need help with yours, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat, and we're always here to help. Now, today we've got two great guests on the episode, Terresa Zimmerman and Amy Gurske, and they are both a couple of the founders of a company called Say Hi, which they'll share a little bit more about, as well as doing a few other things, especially Terresa had a longer journey. Both of them have been on the podcast in various aspects, and so definitely encourage you to go to check out some of the sister podcasts with the Inventive Journey as well as Inventive Expert to hear some more about them. But for today, we're going to be talking about their current business, or at least one of them, which is Say Hi. And so with that much as introduction, welcome on the podcast to Terresa and Amy.
Thanks for having us.
Thank you. I've had a longer journey because I'm older.
That is probably a fair statement. I don't know that there's anything more to declare on.
Truth. #truth.
Exactly. So, well, awesome. Well, appreciate both of you having me on, and I'll caveat with the audience. Usually we have one on, and today we get double the fun. So it'll be fun to kind of hear both of you guys' journey, is where you guys were at just right before this current business, and then how you guys got connected up and founded Say Hi. So maybe I'll start out turning it over a little bit to you, Terresa. So tell us a little bit right where you were at kind of before you got connected up or going with Say Hi, and how you guys got it started.
Yeah, so I was so excited the last time we talked that you were doing some I guess a series of things, because so often you end up listening to podcasts and you've got like the one story, the one person, and then the fact that you added like chapter 2. I'm excited that I hope other people take this format, because you always kind of want to know what happens next with somebody that you've just listened to. And now you're doing a third, with a twist, right? Focused on founding, which I think is cool too. But this is, just even better to make it a series. People are going to get tired of you probably talking to me. That's why I'm very happy to have my co-founder Amy Gurske on this podcast as well. But so just a quick reminder. So I founded Wood Underwear. We're finishing up our 10th year. This was our 10th anniversary year with Wood Underwear. Only female founder of a men's underwear brand and business, which is kind of crazy. But I've had that validated recently. And then I've also got a book, Oh Lords, kind of out there as well. And that's percolating. We just won our 3rd award on that. And I'm not sure exactly how these awards happen. It seems like magic. We get this announcement that we won an award, and it's really wonderful magic. And then Say Hi, I'm so excited about Say Hi, and I'm going to let Amy tell you this story about that. But it's so exciting for me to have been invited to be part of this process. And she can kind of tell you where the whole thing came from. But I think as far as being a founder goes, and certainly being someone who wants to encourage other founders and people to start up businesses, to, keep your ears open and to be someone that's approachable, is just so exciting. And I just couldn't wait. As soon as she, words barely got out of her mouth, and I'm like, yes, 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 let's do it. So yeah, but Amy, you want to tell how Say Hi came about?
Yeah. So, Say Hi, the concept behind Say Hi was kind of percolating for years. Not that I knew it at the time. And this idea came to me and kind of kept growing. And I got to the point where there was interest, but never having been a founder before, I didn't really know what to do. If I'm being completely honest, I have this idea. I have some target clients that are interested, like, where do we go from here? Like, I've never done this before. I've always worked in corporate America. And Teresa previously mentioned being, open enough or being approachable enough
So
to,
no, jumping in just before we get to that point, but so what is the idea, just for the audience, kind of, as you're saying, I've had an idea and I haven't been a founder, definitely makes sense, and everybody starts somewhere. But what was that initial idea? Kind of, how did you come up with that, kind of even prior to connecting with Teresa?
Yeah. So at the heart of Say Hi, we believe that better conversations equal better results. But where the overall idea came from was truly, I fell through the cracks a couple of times in corporate America. And there's this need, and I kept seeing articles and kept hearing from people like, we don't know what our people need. People are falling through the cracks, people are leaving, we're losing money, people aren't being productive. And I kept hearing these things, and I was born and raised to be taught, like, if there's a problem, go find a solution. I was raised by a single mom, and she's like, if you have a problem, bring me 3 solutions. If you don't bring me 3 solutions, you're complaining. And so I'm hearing from so many of my colleagues and coworkers that have either moved up the ranks or are still working that I'm not feeling heard. Like, I don't feel a part of my organization. Essentially, I'm showing up, doing stuff, and leaving. And like, I didn't sign up for that. So the idea behind Say Hi of creating something that can listen better, that can listen without bias, that can guide people to the next right action is at the heart of what we're doing. And the reason I called Teresa was because of what she said. She's been in my life now 20 years. We met back in the Bay Area when we were living there. And when I thought of somebody, like, I got this idea, I don't know what to do. The one person who I know is also a solution person and innovative was Teresa. And it started as quick as picking up the phone saying, hey, I have an idea. Can you jump on a call? Now, keep in mind, I hadn't seen her or talked to her in probably 18 years. So that was a reach. But on the other end of the phone, she said yes. And from there, we went.
So now, you kind of teased it out, and I have a bit of a background with Say Hi, and you guys are full transparency, a client of the Miller IP law. But for those that aren't as familiar, so you kind of tease out a bit of what the problem was, or kind of what you're trying to solve. But what is Say Hi? Or kind of, you're saying, okay, got an idea. Employers don't know what the employees want, or it's not always transparent in that, but that's an idea, but now you have to figure out what you're actually going to do to solve that. So what was that solution that you kind of started to work on, and then how did you get Teresa on board?
So the idea really broke down into 2 segments: a way to listen and a way to act, right? We had to kind of separate out what we were doing. So the first piece was, how do we best listen to people? And what do we ask them, right? That's the first thing. Like, if I'm going to have a conversation, what am I asking? So on the front end, a better way to listen, again, removing bias in a safe way for people to know that they can share what they're feeling. The second piece was how we go direct to action. So we get all this data, but what do we do with it? So the second piece was how we can create, and essentially Say Hi provides coaching at scale. So where enterprise in the past, executive coaches were there for the top tier management to help them be better leaders. But how do we infuse that throughout the entire culture? Essentially getting every single employee their very own coach, just by listening to what you say, guiding you to the next right action.
And using technology to make it scalable. It's amazing. It's turning, I hear the word engagement and I just go, it's the Charlie Brown adult want. What is engagement? Engagement just means that I'm talking at you and hopefully you're listening, and I'm going to measure if you've listened, and probably you're going to tell me the measurement results are going to tell me you haven't. So it doesn't mean anything. You know, the word activation and action is so important with Say Hi. And using technology, you can really, really, really follow every individual's journey for them and then play it back to the company, as opposed to the company trying to find out whether you think the way they want you to think, and then them deciding what they need to do to make you think what the way they want you to think. So it's very cool use of technology and data.
And maybe this is a follow-up question to you, Teresa. I mean, so you were doing, men's underwear, which is already a significantly unique field for a woman, and by all means it's a great field to be in, and I love what you guys are doing, but now you're going into a completely different direction. This is software, this is more analytics, this is feedback, and it's while every employer does it, or a lot of employers encounter this issue, how did you kind of say, hey, this is somewhere where I want to or jump into, or want to get involved, or otherwise want to do something here, and how did you guys partner up, and how did you guys get things kicked off?
Yeah, so actually in my life, underwear is the anomaly and technology is not. So it's a little bit of me coming back home and me being able to kind of resurrect some technology roots that I had when I was in corporate and consulting before the underwear business. Before I started the underwear business, 90+% of my clients were technology involved. So and I kind of had to put that away, because as far as apparel is concerned, technology may as well be a totally different planet. So it's a huge disconnect, technology and most retail, small business retail. So I was really happy to be able to come back to some technology. Now, I'm not the data person, that is all Amy, but I do fully appreciate the scale that technology applies or provides. And I forgot completely what your other question was.
Hey, I probably forgot it too. But so I we'll make it up. But I think the second question was, and so
hit rewind. Can we hit rewind?
There are plenty of good questions. So
it was how we ended up kicking it off, by the way.
That is what I was going to ask. So either I remembered or I just guessed that that's probably what I was going to ask. So go ahead.
It is, it is funny because co-founding, and this is relevant to what Amy just said, and this whole situation, it's wonderful co-founding because you end up playing roles on these things. So we get on client calls and prospect calls and stuff. One of us always has a listening role. It's usually me, because Amy's the data person, and this is her daily thing. But it is amazing to have a partner as opposed to being a sole founder. It's very cool. So yeah, and so how did we start this? She called me and I'm like, okay, so when can we get together? Come to Raleigh, and she did. She jumped a plane and came down for 3 or 4 days, 5 days maybe, and we set up just like listening. Well, mostly we did a lot of talking to a lot of people that I know here in the Raleigh community, and who were very kind to give us their time, and just we used them as sounding boards, saying, hey, here's the idea. Not even baked, right? This is the first time we're having these meetings ourselves. But we around my dining room, we just put up a whole bunch of white paper and we started scribbling, and we started whiteboarding what it was, who it was for, all the things you do when you're trying to start a business and figure out what the brand's going to be and how you're going to launch it.
So you guys
like
kind
to
of
add really quick to that. Teresa's leaving out like a key moment of when we
don't leave out any key moments, so you better help her out.
Yeah, you're welcome. I'll jump in here. The key moment was really when we sealed the deal. Everyone talks about these founder contracts and this and that. Literally, we started Say Hi on a pinky swear, Devin. And it was like, let's do this. I think now
I'll caveat the internal and the attorney and me internally is cringing at the pinky swear. Glad it worked out. They're good for you guys. I would have just cringed if you had told me that beforehand. So they're good for you guys.
Devin, what I'll mention though, it may have started with a pinky swear, but that you were our call very shortly after. So yes, everybody, a pinky swear works. Call Devin anyway.
Absolutely.
That's true. And actually there's seriousness to a pinky promise. I mean,
it really is.
It's better. It's more, I think it's more than a handshake.
All right. Well, That's good to know. Every good contract should start out with the pinky swear. So now you guys get the pinky swear, you guys get connected, you have the idea, you are saying now how do we build it or start to productize it or actually make something out of this. So walk us through a little bit of how that kicked off or how you guys went about starting to build out the business, taking it kind of from the joining as partners, getting the idea, getting it cemented to where it's at today.
I could go deep on that one. Teresa, do you want to jump in first? Yeah, you know, so we're a deep tech company. People ask me what that is. It means we are a research-based company that uses agile technology. So when we pinky swear and we say we've got this great idea and we're like, oh, like ready to go, ready to change the world, it's like, yeah, so how do we do that? Right. Okay. So it was getting into and starting to get into the details and ask questions of people surrounding me, asking about potential resources, how they went about their journey, essentially what you're doing on this podcast, which is providing resources to people. Because as a new founder, I didn't know which way to go. And Teresa is so supportive in everything that we do. And when it came to the research and the science and the things we needed to get nailed down at first, it was really just getting entrenched and getting into the weeds to say what's possible, right? For this POC, for this proof of concept, what is possible? And then how are we going to do that? So for me, I'm a process-oriented person. I needed to kind of structure that out and then go figure out how I'm going to fill in all these pieces. Because let's be honest, I did not do all the coding for Say Hi, and neither did Teresa. I know, spoiler alert, but we had this idea, and then you have to build this team, right? And you have to build this team of people that are bringing expertise and innovation to the table with you. And we couldn't have done it without our contractors. And they've become very dear friends as well. And they're part of the reason why we're a success today.
Yeah, and I think it's also about us playing to our strengths on that, you know, and it's a good thing she didn't ask me to do coding, because we wouldn't be having this conversation right now. But, you know, it is about, you know, leveraging what we can. And a lot of it is, and I tell people this all the time, you've got to start putting it out in the universe. You've got to start talking to people, because every time you talk to somebody, you're not only getting feedback, you're practicing your pitch. And I can tell you, I mean, if Amy and I, you know, went and rehashed some of our early conversations, we'd be like, what product was that even about? I mean, because it has grown into itself in our own minds, and you know, as it started to come to life, and the fact that, you know, we could do this together meant we could divide and conquer some of that, even though we were overlapping on almost everything except coding.
So no, that's fun, and I think, you know, it's interesting. Even I have a pretty good technology background, and yet usually when we built some of the coding tools that we use, we're kind of, again, it's a different skill set or different desire to build it versus to manage it versus to sell it, and all of those have to come together. And so now you guys have kind of got in or started to figure out, started to code it, started to build it. Now, you know, as we're already starting to reach towards the end of the podcast, we still have a few minutes, but I want to make sure that people get an idea. So kind of how long have you guys been in business, and kind of where's it progressed to today? Is it out in the marketplace and fully available and lots of users and wild success, or still figuring out the bugs and debugging it and working out the kinks, or somewhere in between? Or kind of walk us through kind of, you know, from that concept to where it's at today.
The answer is yes. Yes to all of it, Kevin.
I don't know that those can all exist. You can't be a wild success while still not having the product out in the market yet. So I'll caveat it with it. Maybe yes, but go ahead.
Yeah.
No, just kidding. So in May, we made our pinky swear, right? Like we agreed in May, and of course had a formal contract drawn up then. And we started
last year.
Yeah, sorry, May of 2021, and we're in December 2022. So about a year and 8 months ago, we came to the agreement that we were going to start Say Hi. I would say we started building confidently in July of that year. We had our POC ready in January, and we've been going since. So is it available in the market? Absolutely. Is it live with clients? Yes, we're getting questions answered every single day and activating employees. You know, we're at this enterprise to scale point. So you asked about the bugs. There's always going to be bugs in techs, and we look at them every day. That's why we have measures in place to track them, right? But no, we're going full bore. We're getting in with clients. We're having good conversations. We're building out through a partner network. So other distributors that can help us with our reach for Say Hi and also provide some of the support that clients might need. So where we are today is exciting. We have revenue coming in. We're enterprise to scale at this point and really excited to see where 2023 brings us.
That was awesome.
Yeah,
So
yeah, and that sounds all smooth sailing, and I can tell you that it's been a lot of hard work to get there. So, and I can also tell you that it's all taken, even though it's only 18 months, and I have to, I have to remind myself about that, but I really have to remind Amy about that,
Yes.
we're actually in a really, really great spot. But everything takes longer. I mean, a year and a half ago, we were going to have revenue, within 6 months, right? Well, that's just not realistic. I mean, yes, you shoot for those things and you set those kinds of goals up and you want to try to achieve them. But, to sell anything into enterprise is a long lead process anyway. And then to get enterprise to take on something that they've never seen before. That's a whole, they're just not normally early adopters for anything. So it just does take a long time. So, we've got proof, and with every single, client onboarding, we gather more proof and make it less scary for more enterprises to say, okay, this isn't scary anymore. Nobody's going to get fired for, buying Say Hi now. So.
well, it's always a good thing if nobody gets fired as they buy your product. So
Well, it's just so crazy. All these engagement platforms out there, people revert to what they know because they can't get fired. I mean, you can't get fired for hiring in another annual survey. Of course, we want to know what our people think. Let's go just buy another survey. Well, it's just, you may as well throw your money out the window.
No, I'm right there with you. So now you guys have, so you've been in business or been alive for 18 months or whatever you want to call it, and already onboarding people, getting into the business. And I agree that, especially when you get into the corporate atmosphere, you're always having a longer sales cycle than anticipated, and also getting people to try something new is always is fun to break in the marketplace, or at least fun in quotes. But where do you guys, so now you're actively bringing on clients, debugging, doing all the above, but where do you guys see now the next 6-12 months headed for you guys?
For me, it's going to be getting more clients on. We have some waiting to get on the platform. We have them launching. And for me, it's all about our clients and making sure that they're successful. I'm sure as my co-founder, we want everybody on the platform. And the truth is we have to look at where our feet are and what's directly ahead of us. Terresa constantly reminds me about the shiny lights and the shiny objects that float around, because for me, I want to solve all the problems. And the truth is what we built really incredible. And we have a lot of people that want to be on it. And if we focus on just outreach and connecting with the people who care about their people, that want to help their people, that's what we're doing now. So I see the next month is a ton of onboarding, a ton of learnings, a ton of improvements, if we can, to our own internal processes and what we're delivering.
No, I think that sounds like a great direction. And I think it is that's always hard, at least for me, when you're because you always have, especially if you're more on the technology side, the shiny objects are the most fun. In other words, solving the next problem, kind of figuring out how to tweak it, make it better, what features you can add, and yet on the same time it can sometimes be just defocusing, or you're not or staying on the core, and yet you also have to balance it with, you also have to anticipate the future and make it, or continue to improve and make it better. So it's always a fun balance, and I don't know there's ever a right answer, but it sounds like it'll be a fun trajectory for you guys to be on. Well, as we're wrapping towards the end of the episode, and time's already flown by, I'll throw it out to either one of you guys to answer the question I always ask at the end of each episode. So for this one, it is, within your if you're backing up, if you could go to the early days of your business, and I get it's still probably considered in the early days, but go the earliest days of your business, if you could go back and make one decision differently, what would that decision be?
You want to go first,
Amy, I know you've thought a lot about this one, so
I haven't stopped since the question got thrown out like a month ago. I'm not going to lie to you. And I come down
sleepless nights even on it.
Oh, I kid you not. Like, it is what my team is so used to me saying, like, so I was falling asleep last night, and that's like when I get my best thoughts. And I'm going to say something, and it's the truth, but it's also, I have to give myself grace there. And I'm going to say, measure twice, cut once. That saying of making sure that you have enough due diligence and planning on the beginning. We are so excited to get started. That with as complex as Say Hi is, I kind of wish I took more time in the beginning to really, like I said, measure twice, cut once. But I also wouldn't have changed our journey at all. So it's kind of goes against each other because we needed to build it exactly as we did, but measure twice, cut once.
Yeah, it's tough when you've learned so much from those early mistakes to say that you shouldn't do them again. Because that's really, I mean, I can say that in everything I've started. Yeah, if I had been able to not do that or do this better or do this more or not hired that person, you know, it would have been a smoother process, but I probably would have just made that mistake later in the journey. I don't know. It's a tough one to say. So, but there's a lot of that.
No, and I think, you know, it is one where it'd be nice if you could go back and correct all the mistakes or make different decisions. And on the other hand, sometimes if you don't make those or make those decisions, you'll never get to where you're at today. So it's kind of a fun way to look back. So, but definitely some great answers. So, well, now as we're wrapping up the episode, if people want to reach out to you guys, they want to be a customer, they want to be a client, they want to be an employee, they want to be an investor, or they want to be your next best friends, what's the best way to reach out to you, contact you, find out more?
I would say amy@sayhi.io. There's my email address, 2 I's. But you can also find us at sayhi.io online, and you can reach out and submit a contact form there. Once you are official best friends, please expect dog photos being sent to you. So I just want to put that out there ahead of time. But no, we're really
looking
looking
dog photos back.
Yeah, and please send dog photos back. If you don't have one, go find one. But no, you can reach us on our website, along with being on LinkedIn, Amy Gurske and Terresa Zimmerman. We love connecting with people. And if anybody has any interest, please reach out.
Yep.
All right. Well, I definitely encourage everybody to do so. I'll have to send along some dog photos. This episode should come out after Christmas, probably. And so I'll give all the audience the news that my kids don't know yet, which is we're getting a second dog for Christmas. And so they don't know yet, but I'll have to send you along some dog photos. I consider us good friends, so I'll have to send those along.
Yeah, please.
Devin, I'm not going to lie. I'm surprised you didn't tell us before this call that was happening. Congratulations on the newest edition. I can't wait for the photos.
I don't know that I'm as much of a dog person as my wife and kids love dogs, and I'm willing to put up with them because I know that it makes them happy. So we right now this is a complete aside, but we might as well just go down the rabbit hole. So we have 1 bunny, 2 cats. We already have 1 dog. We're getting a second dog. And I'm sure at some point we're going to end up getting a horse and a cow, according to my kids. So we'll have a small farm by the time they're done with it all.
Awesome.
Well, let me know and I'll buy the land next to you and we can combine farms. It's perfect. But Devin, thank you so much for doing this and having us.
Absolutely. Well, thank you both for coming on the podcast. It's been fun. It's been a pleasure. Now, for all of you that are listeners that are out there, to help us to share these great founding journeys and to help those startups and small business out there, just make sure to click share, subscribe, and leave us a review. Helps us to help the other startups and small businesses. And on that note, if you ever need help with your startup or small business with patents or trademarks, just go to strategymeeting.com, grab some time with us to chat. We're always here to help. Well, thank you both, Terresa and Amy, for coming on the podcast. Wish the next leg of your journeys even better than the last.
Thank you.
Thanks, Devin.